So October the 6th, this is Mary Anti-Emperor, Anti-Clergy, Pro-MIG 29 Day. What am I talking about? Well, look at all the things that have happened. So on October 6th, 877 AD, the Holy Roman Emperor dies. The Byzantine Roman Empress dies 404 AD. The Bulgarian Emperor dies 1014 AD. The Bishop of Wurzburg dies 1090 AD. The Archbishop of Pisa dies 1145 AD. The Count of Moselgau dies 1019 AD. And the Margrave of Istria dies. The Margrave of Istria, oh no, not the Margrave of Istria, dies 71173 AD. And so what's the point of this? This is the point that, everybody lives and dies. And so in general, I would think that an emperor, a person who wants to take over everybody and everything, and then a lot of these religious, warlords, they were warlords back then, that people, come and they go. And so typically, it seems like when these people of religious or powerful people die, then, that's a good thing. Now, I made a mistake of Alexander Hamilton. When Alexander Hamilton had got shot and killed, being that he was a founding father and what have you, I at first took the controversial opinion saying that, he had it coming. But the more I read into Hamilton, I was wrong with Alexander Hamilton. So just once again, listen to all these people. So, you're the Archbishop of Pisa, huh? Everybody watch out. Here comes the Archbishop of Pisa. Do we have and then a lot of these positions still live today. Is there a Margrave of Istria today? Let's take a look. The March of Istria, the frontier, the Margrave of Istria, Hunfred, let's see. According to some sources, the Duke of... So Hunfred was the Margrave of Istria. The Duke Eric of Friuli. So what's crazy is that even when the person dies, that their damn seat carries on. And then the Holy Roman Emperor, okay, so you're like, wait a second, why do you hate people in positions of power? The Holy Roman Emperor dies. Who is he? Well, he's Charles II. Charles II, he's just such a damn inbred mess. He's got this crazy ass jaw. His whole body is swelling. He's impotent. He can't. Why is he the damn Holy Roman Emperor? Why is he the Holy Roman Emperor? The Holy Roman Empire isn't going to go down until 1806 or something. So it's going to carry on for another 1,000 years. But whether you're a good person or a bad person, sometimes you just have to let the natural life and death cycle take the bad people. The KKK, Nathan Bedford Forrest, never, got what was coming to him, but eventually he did. And I guess in a way you could just say, well, the good people go too, but you know what? I don't care. Anti-emperor, you want to take over the whole fucking world? Fuck you. I'm all about republics and a bunch of republics getting together. And maybe you could say the chair of the republics is the emperor, but that's not the emperor. And anti-clergy, because what the fuck is the point of religion? Now, Wang Mang, I want to mention something about Wang Mang. 1977, the first prototype Mikoyan. This is October the 6th. The 1977, the first prototype, the Mikoyan MiG-29, designated 901, makes its maiden flight. What is this MiG-29? What am I talking about with this MiG-29? It's a badass fucking jet. It looks like an F-15, only much more cooler. So it's a badass fighter aircraft. It's a twin-engine fighter aircraft designed in the Soviet Union, developed by the Mikoyan Design Bureau as an air superiority fighter during the 1970s. So now you know what that's about. Wang Mang. So Wang Mang, he was a person who was deposed, and I'm saying, well, shit, he was a goddamn fucking warlord, right? He was an emperor, so who gives a shit about this Emperor Wang Mang? Wang Mang is going to die October 6th. October 6th? Oh, the capital is going to get sacked October 4th. So in a way, Wang Mang he's going to die on this day. So maybe I should, add the Emperor of China onto this list. Emperor of China, because it's Mary Anti-Emperor Day. Emperor of China, and then that was 23 AD. Now, I had read this one thing about Wang Mang being a socialist, so it's like, oh shit, did I just Alexander Hamilton this guy again? You know, typically I would think that an emperor is corrupt, wants money, wants power, is a terrible person, and fucks people over and doesn't give a shit. When I look at the Roman emperors, there's only like 5 that's good, and the rest are just absolute dog shit. When I look at my own presidents of America, I think there's about 5, maybe 4 good ones. Now, I heard that he was a socialist, so it's like, oh my God. He also abolished slavery. Well, when are they going to abolish slavery? I'll ask that question later. But he didn't exactly abolish slavery. He had taxed it. So he tried to get rid of it, a lot of it at least, or at least try to take the power away from the large landowners. But he had taxed it, and those who didn't pay the tax actually became slaves themselves. So this is amazing, right? The great liberator who just Moses and Lincoln freed the slaves. Well, Wang Mang had tried to free the slaves or tax slavery to death, but he's going to get overthrown, and so he's not going to oversee that program. Now, he had messed up a whole bunch of times. He also had this, revolutionary land reform. Land reform, Otto von Bismarck, he did land reform. He just says, divide all the land up amongst your own children. So he made all the mothers and fathers divide their lands up amongst, I want to say, the sons. But that's just a brilliant idea. You got 1,000 acres and you got 2 sons. Well, just now everybody's got 300 acres, 333 acres, and now that's better. By everybody having their own land, then that means a lot more is going to get cultivated, and a lot more it's good for the economy, it's good for the future, it's good for everybody. Frankly, I think the land reform of Otto von Bismarck, now he wasn't a socialist. Otto von Bismarck did all his reforms in order to stop socialism. So he was more a state socialist, or I'm not sure what he was a liberal. He was a liberalism. So his liberalism was to stop socialism. Now, why am I, the thing with the tax and the slavery, okay, he didn't abolish it, he taxed it, which is a good thing, so he started going in the right direction, but he also had this sloth tax. And again, he's taxing people if you don't have cultivated lands, he's taxing you. The townspeople who didn't raise trees, he taxed them, and then people who weren't working, he had taxed them, so there's a sloth tax. But the unemployed citizens, some of them were selling themselves into slavery, get a little, nominal wage, but they were going to be slaves to these haciendas, these encomiendas, and because of the sloth tax kind of created some slaves. Then there was an agrarian revolt. So if he's doing such a good job for the small farmers, why are the small farmers? He's going to eventually be deposed by a peasant rebellion. You pissed off the peasants to the point where they overthrew you. Well, that is not a good thing. The red eyebrows are going to overthrow Wang Mang. Okay, so I like the idea of tax and slavery. I like the idea of land reform. Now, he was so corrupt and so inefficient that his land reform is going to go bust after 3 years. So it starts out good, right? It's going to get farmers, small farmers are going to have land. People without land are going to be able to get land. But the corruption allowed the local officials to steal most of the free land. And then not only were the corrupt local officials taking the free land, but they're also taking the farmers' lands. So Wang Mang didn't do anything to enforce the policy. He says, okay, we're all going to divide this land. And then he would just let the people do it. A whole bunch of farmers had opposed it. So he broke up the large land estates. They were supposed to just divide their land to family, friends, and neighbors, but they were supposed to do it on their own. And since the local officials, they were actually using the policy in order to steal the land of small farmers. So the idea was, a good idea, but he didn't enforce it. It got enforced all wrong. And then after 3 years, he's going to repeal the land reform. So land reform only, when it comes to the Homestead Act of Abraham Lincoln, that's going to last from 1862 to 1988. That's over 100 years. 270 million acres land were redistributed because of the Homestead Act of Abraham Lincoln. So you need to, there needs to be time. You need to have some time, and you can't have all the damn speculators and all the wealthy just go ahead and they got the advantage, right? They can go ahead and fill out all the applications and stuff and do all the things that they need in order to get it. So he had a good revolutionary land reform, but he's going to overthrow it, repeal it 3 years later. He has a stabilizing program where there's a food and clothing program. He had purchased the excess goods in order to sell them when the price went up, and that was supposed to stabilize the thing. I don't know if that's stabilizing it or if he's just stealing stuff from people, taking people's food and clothing. He does an income tax on top of the land tax and the head tax, 10% income tax. And then he also is going to have a state monopoly on liquor and weapons, but also salt, iron, coinage, forestry, and fishing. So is that kind of communistic? I guess so. I mean, when it comes to the state monopoly on post offices, when it comes to the state monopoly on education and roads, I mean, we do kind of state monopoly, but the idea of state socialism is they take all the liquor and weapons, salt, iron, coinage, forestry, and fishing. How do you take fish and forestry? Anyways, he says that this is for the state to do and then give it to the people. So you're taking it away from the wealthy and powerful and you're giving it to the poor and not so powerful. Now, the biggest mistake he's going to do is the currency. He's going to take like the coin system from the Han Dynasty, and he had 28 coins. So he had 28 coins. Some of them were gold and silver, but then there was some turtle shells and some other kind of shells. So if you just take that currency program, I'm still okay with saying that Wang Mang is no good because that's going to be 23 CE. So at the very least, he was a dictator for 14 years. His revolutionary land reform only lasts for 3 years. The abolishing slavery, he's taxing it, and he's going to, tax it to death. So that sucks that had, been undone. But he's pissing off all these small farmers, and the peasants are, rebelling. So why are the peasants rebelling? Why are the small farmers rebelling? If this would be a good thing, would it not, to get rid of slavery? So I think that's the best thing you could say about Wang Mang is that he abolished slavery. And the other things, land reform went nowhere. The sloth tax, I kind of like the idea of the sloth tax. If you don't have a tree and you're in a town, he's going to tax you. If you're not working, he taxes you. Uncultivated lands, you need to cultivate your lands or he'll tax you. So I like that because it's like, get out and work and use the land. And if you're not going to use the land, then sell it to somebody who is going to use it. That's how people claim land in Kentucky. There was all these land title disputes, and ultimately, if you had a house and you had a crop of corn, that was the best way to say that land was yours. Where you raised your corn and where your house was, that was your land. So the land that wasn't being used, I think it's brilliant because it's like, what's the social benefit to land just sitting there, not doing a damn thing? Oh, you own it, so nobody can sit on it or do anything with it because it's yours? Well, a lot of people need land and a lot of people need the space. So due to his corruption, his inefficiency, his land reform is going to get repealed after 3 years. How long was that tax on slavery going to last? He had 28 coins. He fucked up the economy. And then with the state monopoly, if it was good for the poor people, if he was doing it for the poor folks, but he's taking fishing away, you want everybody to do the fishing, forestry, coinage, iron, salt, liquor, weapons. I guess you can, let the state take it, and then it's supposed to help the poor. If you just look at the communists in Russia or the Soviet Union, they took all those things over, but then they did a damn, they killed all those people in Ukraine. So just millions and millions of people were, and then they have the farm collectives and shit. So the idea was to put all the poor people on farms, and then we all raise the stuff together, but then the damn government would come in and take a big old chunk of it. And then none of the people that actually raised it and did it got any of the, that's the people who deserve it. The people that actually cultivated it, raised it, and harvested it. Those are the people that deserve to keep the fruit of their labor. So there's a lot of good things about Wang Mang, that I didn't notice at first. I just saw a fallen emperor and he had fell due to the peasant rebellion. But there's a lot of bad things for him. So if he's good for the poor and he's good for the farmers and he's good for China, then how come the peasants overthrew him? How come he repealed the land reform after 3 years? He taxes slavery, doesn't abolish it, and he's just trying to take power away from the large landowners, which, that's good or bad, however you want to take a look at it. If they were being industrious, slavery's bad. So that's a great thing. That's a fantastic thing. His state monopoly, I guess I just kind of question all of it because the damn 28 coins when it comes to, that's his biggest faux pas. That's his biggest fuck up. 28 coins, turtle shells. hey, instead of having, this currency that everybody recognizes, how about I give you a turtle shell? Why don't you get the hell out of here? I'm going to pay my bill in turtle shells. Is that what it is? How many turtle shells is this? That'll be 4 turtle shells, please. So I'm going to stick by that it's okay to topple Wang Mang. I'm going to stick by that it's okay to topple Wang Mang. Now, the other things that happened on October 6th, I'll actually do a separate video on this because Mary Leakey finds the first partial fossil skull of proconsul africanus ancestor. Okay, 1948, we find a partial fossil skull of proconsul africanus, an ancestor of apes and humans, on Rusinga Island, Kenya. And Mary Leakey had also discovered the Zinjanthropus skull. So, exciting stuff. This is some fun and exciting stuff. We got a whole list of here to talk about. So, that was just me saying, let's be careful, right? The Archbishop of Pisa. Let's just see if I'm right about the Archbishop of Pisa. Archbishop Pisa. And then he dies in 1145. So, who was, this is Baldwin, okay? So, some guy named Baldwin is the Archbishop of Pisa. So, October 6th is the anti-emperor and anti-clergy day. So, Baldwin is a Cistercian monk, later Archbishop of Pisa, corresponded to Bernard of Clairvaux, and reformer of the Republic of Pisa. Through his episcopate, he expanded the authority of his diocese, making it the most powerful institution in Liguria and Sardinia, notably increased its land holdings. Pope Innocent II named Baldwin a cardinal priest of Santa Maria in Trastevere, no later than in 1137 when he appears for the first time in this dignity. Later he was in, okay, so what did he do? He elected to succeed Uberto as archbishop. So he's holding, increasing his power, his land holdings, his money. Monte Cassino to pacify a revolt. July, he participated in a debate. He was then elected to succeed Uberto as archbishop of his native city, and as the pope was then living there in exile, was consecrated by Innocent himself. It doesn't look like he did anything. Let's just read a couple more paragraphs. He's in conflict over the communal rights in and around Pisa. He had been in a war with the diocese of Lucca over Jewish. So these clergies are just, fighting amongst themselves. He was captured and freed, upon which he conquered Montignosa. The exhortation of Bernard of Clairvaux, Otto of Friesburg, Emperor-elect Conrad III bestowed on him the countship of Pisa, the chief secular as well as ecclesiastical authority in the city, its countryside. November 10, 1144, Baldwin sent aid to Gunnario II of Torres in a war against Comita II of Arborea. In 1145, he was created apostolic legate over all Sardinia and Corsica. He established the legatine seat in Torres and excommunicating Comita for oppressing people and warring against Pisa. Now that's interesting, right? So he's, going to war with these clergy, and he's saying, hey, you shouldn't oppress people and go to war against Pisa. It doesn't seem like he did anything good for the people. Transferring the Gunnario, the supreme secular authority on the island, personal authority in Arborea. Bernard of Clairvaux weighed into island politics in a letter to Pope Eugene III, justifying Baldwin's actions. Baldwin died later that year, and Montignosa was returned to Lucca. What the fuck? So it's just like a guy that we're just like, and then he went over here, and then he did this, and then he did that, and then what the fuck? He was the Archbishop of Pisa. Yeah, la-di-da, whippity-skippity-doo-dah day. Who gives a shit? So I think that's okay, right? Oh no, not the Archbishop. Oh no! The Bishop of Warsburg, he died. Oh no, the Count of Moselgoo. Oh no, the Margrave of Istria. Not the Margrave of Istria. No. Say it ain't so.